Again, guys. All right, we're live, and we'll just want to say thank you to our veterans. This is a live stream, and brought a couple people together today just to kind of say thank you. So whether you're watching on LinkedIn, X, I guess, Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube, feel free to join in the conversation. Ask questions if you like. It's just Happy Veterans Day, November 11th, 2025. And we just kind of wanted to get together with some fellow vets and talk about a couple things. And what we'll do is we'll kind of go around the room here, and everybody will ask introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about their service. And then we've got 4 or 5 questions we're going to ask each person to tell little stories and share with our veterans here. I'll go ahead and kick it off. My name is Jaime J. I'm the CEO and founder of Bottleneck Distant Assistance. I was an E4 in the U.S. Army, paratrooper with the 82nd Airborne. Love jumping out of perfectly good airplanes, and we got a lot of good stories from that coming. I'll just go around quickly and introduce you. Go ahead and tell us what your name is, what you do for a living, where you served, and what your rank was. So go ahead, Brian.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you, veterans out there. Like Jamie said, my name is Brian Stoll, former U.S. Marine. Got out as a sergeant, E5, motor transport maintenance mechanic was my primary MOS. I was a maintenance chief, secondary MOS. 92 to 2000. Did a couple pumps over to Okinawa, did South Korea, stationed on both coasts in CONUS. North Carolina and California. Did some time out at the Stumps, various other places, but yeah, get good times. And now I'm transitioned. Last 25 years since I got out, I've been in trucking. I'm in supply chain management and pushing freight around the country. That's all I got for you.
Yeah. Hello, I'm Jerry Dobeck. I'm also Jamie's brother-in-law. So we've known each other quite a long time. I was a 19 Delta originally. I served from 2007 to 2014. I transferred over to the Rangers after going to Ranger School and Sniper School. Left the Army as an E6. And had a wonderful time in the Army. I was attached to the 173rd Airborne Brigade Combat Team. And I was like Jamie. I like jumping from perfectly good aircraft.
Well, sorry about that little pause. My name is James Fisher, also in the Army. I was in from 99 to the beginning of 2012. Started off as a forward observer, stationed up at Fort Wainwright, Alaska, 411 Field Artillery Battalion, running around as a 13 Foxes. Fister was kind of a fun gig, but I realized that I couldn't call artillery fire on jaywalkers, so I had to transition to something I could do, right? So I came onto the military intelligence side, went to airborne school, language school, ended up at Fort Hood, deployed there to Iraq, came back, went over to Schofield Barracks, deployed from there, back to Iraq, pretty much the same area. I couldn't have been luckier, I guess. I don't know, but went back to Iraq, came back. They chaptered me out, medical chapter. Since then, I don't know. I did some government work, doing some other stuff, and then ended up getting into lighting. So now I'm a national sales manager for a lighting manufacturer. I've been doing that for about 8 years now. Transitioned well from doing the human side, being able to talk to about anybody and learn and elicit the information, to sales. It was a natural thing. So if somebody in my previous life would have asked me, what would you not ever think you'd be doing? Sales, and much less lighting, but here we are. So thank you for having me, Jamie.
Jamie, thanks for having me. And I wanted to thank not only the veterans, but the veterans family. Like when somebody says to me, thank you for your service, I'm like, I had fun. Thank you for paying for my education. It's the families that had to deal with things when we were gone. But I served from 83 to 92. By the grace of God and clerical error, I got into the U.S. Naval Academy, graduated from Annapolis, and then afterwards went through nuclear power school and ran the power plants on the USS Abraham Lincoln. At that time, it was the newest and finest. Now it's just the finest. But with surface warfare, nuclear, got out as a lieutenant. Then I went and did the corporate world for a while, and then went into entrepreneurship. I run a company called Interview Valet. We help thought leaders get on targeted podcast interviews to grow their brand and grow their business.
There we go. I'm trying to mute my thing so that you don't hear any background noise. But thank you everybody for your introductions. We'll go ahead and jump into this. I'll start off, and if we want to, we can go in the same order. So Brian, you could be first here, and letting everybody know this isn't about rank or medals or anything like that. It's just
if you're not first, you're last. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Ricky Bobby. Okay, so what was that one moment, maybe in boot camp or your first duty station, when it hit you, oh yeah, this is the real deal?
For me, it's probably the same as it is for just about every Marine out there that's gone to Marine Corps boot camp. I don't care if you go to, Parris Island, South Carolina, or if you're a Hollywood Marine like I was out of San Diego. The minute the bus pulls up to drop you off and you got a 6'2" crazy-eyed, drill instructor screaming at you to get off his bus, and then you find yourself standing on the yellow footprints. There's nothing more terrifying than standing in yellow footprints because you literally are learning how to walk. I mean, that's the significance of that. And I think that's when it hit me, like, oh my goodness, here we go. And to be honest, the first 72 hours, those first 3 days, you're not sleeping, they break you down. I don't remember much from that. After those footprints, I remember getting my head shaved, and, the next 3 days are pretty much a blur. I think for me, that's when it really clicked. Here we go.
Yeah, I agree. I remember stepping off of what they call the cattle truck, and they bring you in. And the drill sergeant asked me, he said, hey, can I grab your duffel? And I said, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
That was it, man.
Wrong answer.
It was all over. I want to take a moment. We just had James Van Proyen hop on. He is the event owner, coordinator of Military Creator Con, veteran. So I wonder, really quick, James, can you introduce yourself? Tell us what branch you served in, for how long, and then let me make sure I'm getting feedback. But and what your rank was, what where you served, and what you're doing now.
Thanks, Jamie. Number one, I want to say thank you for inviting me on, Jamie. I've known you for a while, and you kind of, like, I didn't know you were military or a veteran for a long time. Like I kind of accidentally found out, not that we always say this, that we were necessarily, but I always laugh at that because I'd known you for a while, and I think somehow I the fact that you were a USA member, I'm like, you were in the military? He's like, yeah, I was in the Army. I was like, oh wow. So that was really cool. I wanted to mention that. So my name is James Van Proyen, as you said. I was in the Air Force. I went in the Air Force in 1995, thinking I would do 4 years. Back to Michigan.
We're having a hard time hearing you, James. I don't know if am I the only one, but I'm getting a lot of feedback.
I'm not getting the feedback. It's just he's seems like he's kind of quiet, like he's far away from the mic or something.
Yeah, if you're trying to use speakerphone, that's probably the problem.
Yeah, I mean, it's through my cell phone, so I don't know. Can you hear me better or no?
A little bit. I mean, we can hear you, but it's a little tough. It does seem like I'm getting a little feedback, though. Okay. All right. Let me see. Okay. Well, we'll continue on. So, Jerry, um, what was the one moment, maybe in boot camp or your first duty station, when it hit you? Oh yeah, this is the real deal.
I would have to say through boot camp, I was the oldest. I was grandpa, they called me, you know. So I went in at 34 years old. I was quite a bit older than those other young men. And so really boot camp wasn't as tough as I thought it would be. I think the moment I realized it was real was when my first duty station was Afghanistan. So I flew from my duty station, which at that time was Fort Knox, Kentucky, where I did my training. And from there, I went home for like 2 weeks, got on a bird, went to Germany, and dropped off in Germany. And 5 days later, I was in Afghanistan. So I didn't really have a whole lot of anything until we were landing in the Korengal Valley, and the helicopter was being shot at. And I thought, well, here we are. This is real. It was one of the moments where you're like, I don't know if I should have signed up at this age, but yeah, it became very real very quickly.
Holy crap. Yeah, that would be hello, welcome. Didn't you do all of your schools like back to back?
I did. Yeah, it was kind of strange. So during the military or during basic training in the Army, if you shoot well, they give you an opportunity to go to long range or LRM school. And then from there, you can go on to sniper school, which is what I did. And then I had already asked for airborne school. So I went in, I did airborne school, sniper school. And then right after sniper school, I had about 20 days. And I kept asking where my orders were. And my command at that time was like, well, he's already there. Just send him on to ranger school. And that's how. So they, in order to save cost, I became their guinea pig. So,
well, good for you, man. That's crazy. James, what was the one moment, maybe in boot camp or your first duty station, when it hit you? Oh yeah, this is the real deal.
Well, kind of like Jerry, I joined in a little bit when I was older, right? I was 24 when I first got to basic. I also, my first duty station, basic training, was at Fort Knox. And as soon as, and I pulled up there in the middle of the night. And if you've seen the movie Stripes, you know, that's what you see when you pull up there. And I'm thinking like, oh, you know, is this a John Candy scene? Like what's going to happen? You know, when you got off the bus there, everyone was super nice. You went in, sat down. And then after that second time you raised your hand and they shuffled you outside, by this time it's daylight, July, so super hot, flies in your nose. And yeah, like you said, Brian, some big drill sergeant in your face. I was like, yep, well, I'm here. This is, I volunteered to do this. Like what was I thinking? But, you know, I was there for about 10 weeks total. Hold under, you know, before we got started and then actually getting into it. And like you said, Jerry, I think that was the best time of my life. I enjoyed what I was doing at that time. You don't have to worry about anything, right? Because you don't have time to think about anything. No bills, you know, no responsibilities, because your responsibility is to keep your head down and just do what you're told. And that makes life so much easier after you've lived as an adult in the real world, knowing you don't have to do anything other than just exactly what they say was pretty nice. I'm just saying. So,
absolutely, James. Absolutely.
There are certain things I think along the way that became more real, right? And when I was first stationed in Alaska, we just did a ton of training. You know, I went to CWLC, which is a cold weather leadership course, the advanced mountain climbing course. Like I had done all these things, tons of training, but really hadn't seen any any action, nothing, nobody's shooting back at me at this point. So through time and deployments, things change, right? Like the first time you kick in a door, things were different than they were before you got out of that Humvee. So I had a lot of those moments, Jamie, and I think that we probably all did, but to try to think of one specific, it's pretty hard because they're all there and they're all in the forefront of your mind. That first door you kicked, I remember that, right? So, yeah, it's interesting.
Wow. Thank you for sharing, James. How about you, Tom?
I think for me, it was even when I was leaving home, right? So I was 17 years old. I'd never been more than like 100 miles from my home. The only airport I'd ever seen was O'Hare and then this little county strip. And so when I landed at BWI, I thought, did we get like put down in some like rural airport here? The first cab I'd ever been in was the one I had to get to take to Annapolis. And to me, it was just like Dorothy in a whole new world. Everything was new. And I agree with you. I think, James, you said it, that once you got into the routine, it was easier because you knew what you were going to do. You didn't have to make decisions. I always say the richest I ever have been in my life was that first year at the academy. We got paid $60 a month and we got Saturday afternoon off. 3 out of 4 Saturday afternoons. So I had $15 in my pocket. We couldn't drink, we couldn't date. And, you know, I could buy a whole lot of pizza, pop, and a movie with $15. You know, I had everything that I wanted in life. So, but it definitely was a great thing when I came back a year later home. Man, I'd been around the world. I'd spent a week in Australia. The world was never the same after that.
Wow. These bring back so many memories. You know, it's crazy. We've forgotten a lot. James, are you're back?
Yeah. Do you hear me any better?
Way better.
There we
All
go.
right.
Oh,
So I need to upgrade my phone. Maybe I switched to Mara's phone. But it's funny, Tom. Actually, I just thought about this when you were just saying that. So I left from Michigan. I don't think I'd ever flown before. There was, from what I remember, like it seems like second nature now, and I've flown a ton at this point. But when I left Michigan, it was, I forget, it was February, so it was very, whatever it was really cold, and I got to San Antonio, so I went to a basic training in Lackland, Florida, or Lackland, San Antonio, I'm sorry, Texas. It was like 82 degrees. I'll never forget, like going from the airport on the bus over and seeing that. I was like, oh wow, this is at least it's warm here.
So
But actually,
I don't know if
yeah,
I don't know if we
yeah,
got to hear, James. Where did you serve? When did you serve? And what
yeah.
was your
So, yep, absolutely. So I went in the Air Force in 1995, thinking I would do 4 years at that point and kind of go back to Michigan and do some of the things. When I was growing up, I was going to be an electrician. So I didn't know anything about computers. At that point in time, it was really early on, even in the military with the internet. You know, like I remember. So first duty station, right? We only had, I think, the lower enlisted people, we only had a few computers amongst all of us. Like the boss had one, you know, and then everybody else kind of shared at that point, right? But I went in as an E1, no rank, and finished as a Air Force Master Sergeant, which is an E7. Was in tactical communications, so throughout the years, we would go in the middle of nowhere and kind of set up initial communications, computer secure VTCs and things like that, and then of course over time drones and everything would run through our networks and stuff like that. But so I had a very fulfilling, rewarding 20 years. That 95 to 2015, obviously there was a lot of stuff with all the different Iraq, Afghanistan. I've been kind of in all those different places, and all the different experiences. So it was I got my money's worth, let's just say.
Good for you. Good for you. Well, thanks for sharing. We'll start the next one. The next question is, what's one lesson from your time in uniform that still drives you today as a leader, entrepreneur, or just a person? You want to kick it off, Brian?
Yeah, sure. I would say it's probably the same thing for everybody really that's served, and that's the discipline that that you learned and that was instilled in you. Um, it's I don't know about you guys, but the first probably 2 years being out of the service and in the workforce, I had to get myself to kind of take a step back and remember that not everybody is, got that drive, got that self-discipline, the get up and go, so to speak, or whatever you want to call it. I think that's the one thing that really has driven me over the last 25 years is just the discipline and the work ethic and all those leadership traits that we've all learned in different courses throughout the military. And I think that's basically it for me. I mean, it's you don't have somebody telling you to get up and go to work. You get up and do it. You see something needs to get done, whether it's something that's your job or not. If in your place of employment or whatever you do, you see something needs to be done, you get it done. It's not sitting around waiting on somebody else to take charge. I think that's pretty much what drives me.
I love that. Yeah. Hey, Jerry, what's one lesson from your time in uniform that still drives you today as a leader, entrepreneur, or just a person?
I'm sorry, I'm getting in and out of an area here, but I think I agree. I mean, the leadership aspects of what we did in the military,
He might be in an area. He might be in an
changes a person's mentality. It truly. Hello?
Yep, we're losing you, Jerry. We'll go on to the next person, and then we'll bring you back.
Raise your left hand and your right leg. Where's the comm guy? No, I'm just kidding.
How about you, James?
I would say I have a little bit of OCD. Brian and you guys can kind of attest that. But
I didn't want to put the label on, but that's exactly right. I didn't want to use the label, but there it is.
Is what
it's out in the open.
So attention to detail, especially starting off like as a forward observer, you throw one wrong number in there, then you're dropping stuff on your head, and as you move through the military and rank, attention to detail is everything. It's what keeps you going. It's what keeps your guys alive. And so that was something that I kept with me and built on coming into the civilian side. So it's luckily it didn't backfire on me. I transitioned into the civilian world into a place that I was still surrounded by other military members, active duty military members, and also had a huge government civilian contractor base to it. So I saw both worlds, right? I got to play in both sides, and that helped in the transition. But still, attention to detail was key in both of those.
Sweet. That's a good point. How about you, Tom?
I think when you were talking, the thing for me was my relationship with time. I remember when I got out of the service, I refused to wear a watch for the first year because before that, everything was down to the minute, to the second. You got to be on time and all the rest of this. But we got so much accomplished. And I don't think most people realize what you can get accomplished in a week, a day. Heck, if you got 5 minutes, I could get a nap in. And now I hear people saying, well, I don't have time. Well, you're wasting 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there. And it's that little advantage that you come back to the civilian world and you've got such a benefit, right? I remember my first employer, Stryker, they hired a lot of ex-military, and we finally figured out why is because we thought we were getting a great deal because we only had to work half days, right? If we got in there at 5 a.m., we could kick off by 5 p.m. And then it took us about a year, 18 months to realize the rest of the world doesn't work this way. They don't get in before the troops do, and they don't leave after them. But by that time, we were successful. So I think that relationship with time was probably the biggest thing that impacted me.
Ah, that's good. Yeah, I can definitely empathize with that. How about you, Jerry?
I would have to say that the biggest issue for me transitioning, as far as something I took with me, was understanding the sense of people, knowing that every person does not have the same ambition, like James was saying, to be successful, right? And so I struggled with that a lot. I especially when it came back to building my company, it didn't seem right that I could get to California in 2 days and this guy took 5, right? And you're like, why? What have you been doing? And you can't stop everywhere and do this, that. And I really struggled with the ability to fit into the civilian world, because my aspect was always worrying about the guy next to me, always worry about who's to your left, who's to your right. Is he okay? Are you going to make a mistake that's going to cause him to get hurt? And when you deal with life and death situations every day, it changes your mentality. And I think one of the biggest things in my transition was just remembering, hey, they are not us. This person has probably never served, has probably never been shot at, has probably never seen what you've seen. And I just had to keep that in the back of my head all the time. And it was a struggle, and still is for me. I'll be honest. It's probably one of my biggest difficulties now. But I think as a benefit, just remembering that, like James said earlier, I really think that James and I think alike. Maybe it's the same branch, the same kind of training. But remember that the guy that you were then is still who you are inside, but you can't let it out. You can't really say, hey, I'm gonna go down here. You can't. What was it you said? You can't call for fire on top of a jaywalker's head.
Yeah.
So I have to keep that in mind. I can't be dropping stuff on people's heads,
And
and
it makes it hard, because how on a daily basis I want to tell someone to pull their head out of their fourth point of contact. I mean, there's certain things that you can't say, right? And like you said, so yeah, Jerry, we feel you.
Yeah, it's a struggle. It really is.
That's what I was getting at. Those first couple of years when I got out, you literally have to take a step back and remember you're not dealing with, for me, you're not dealing with Marines, junior Marines that will ask how high when you say jump. Now I got to try and figure out how to motivate civilians to actually do their job. Yeah. Same thing.
That's
I
wild.
think the longer you're in, the harder it can be. I can remember a buddy of mine. I think he was in for like 35 years. When he got out, his last role, he was running anesthesia at Walter Reed and Bethesda there. So, this guy had scrambled eggs all over his hat. And then he goes to his new job, and I'm talking with him, and he's like, they don't understand who I am. They're not treating me with respect. They're not doing all of this. And I've known Dale since we were in high school together. And I said, they know exactly who you are. You just don't know who you are. And he's like, well, what's that? I said, you're the FNG. And that's who you are. You just don't realize that. And he was so upset. It was a short conversation. And he called me up a couple days later, and he's like, thank you. You're one of the few people that could tell me that. And you're totally right.
That's awesome. How about you, James?
Yeah, I think for me, maybe one of the biggest things is just the ability to adapt to different situations. I realize in a good way, we were just kind of from day one, even though it annoyed us at certain points when you'd have a new commander, a new reason why we're implementing something new all the time, it felt like. But the ability to kind of go in a situation and quickly adapt to anything at any time, I think is definitely something you get after a long military career overall. So I think that would probably be one of the biggest things that feels more normal to someone in my situation versus I feel as I watch so many people get razzled off the littlest of things. And I think overall, someone mentioned it, right? I think once you have a lot of life and death situations, everything else is like, is this really that serious? So I think we just have a different way of looking at things. And I like, Tom, how you said it as well. Like, I guess I took that for granted too. The amount of stuff we were able to get done in a small amount of time and just operate a certain way for so long. It's hard to adjust. I think ever after that to some degree, at least for me.
I think it's because we learned to operate as a team. You know, we function as one unit. And as we do that, the productivity just goes through the roof, and if we could get, maybe everybody should do some time in the military just to learn that aspect of their life altogether. I mean, but teamwork really does help.
It sure does.
There's times where simple tasks around the house. Then I'll ask Brian, like, hey, you want to come up? You want to come and give me a hand? Not that I can't do things by myself, but it feels almost unnatural to do some stuff by yourself. It's because you're used to having somebody right there, whether they're doing things or not, but you're used to having people around you while you're accomplishing tasks. It's kind of it's a great thing.
I agree.
So true. So true. Well, I know, Tom, we're getting close. We got about 10 minutes before you got to go pick up grandkids. So I'll move on to the next question. Tom, and you can answer this one. How are you still serving today through business, family, mentorship, or community?
Well, I guess the way I look at it, the biggest thing right now is setting the example, right? Of what it means to be a leader, what it means to be a parent, all the rest of this, what it means to be a husband. And that's the biggest thing I have, because I look back in the military, what impacted me most is those people I could say, that's an example. That's somebody that I want to be like, and I can learn from them. And I think often what we say fails in comparison to what people see and what we do. So I'm just trying to do that. And, you were talking about teamwork. We've got a team of 20. They're all remote, and 2/3 of them are military spouses. And people are like, oh, that's so nice that you hire them. It's like, if I could get more of them, I would. They are the best workforce out there, right? They're hardworking, disciplined. If you can work around their schedule, that's fine, right? And so I look at that as, I want to evangelize for military spouses too, because it's a shame. The unemployment rate and the underemployment rate, both for veterans and military spouses, is a crime. And so I always say, tap into that workforce.
Well, I have to agree. My wife put up with everything while we were in Germany. I was not able to stay and help her. I didn't even get to help move. Her family helped her move out of our house in the town that we lived in and get moved to Germany. I mean, and she just took it like a champ. I mean, she never, our children, I mean, the families really do suffer. It's a huge deficit to the military, because I don't think they understand it. I don't think Congress or anybody else in the House anywhere that understands the burden that is put on the family when we choose and volunteer to serve, because they didn't volunteer. They were just put in that position.
I think one of our team members married, got 5 kids. Her husband's a lawyer in the Air Force. And they moved from Germany to Utah. And she said, can I have a 4-day weekend? And I'm like, take more time off than that. Take all the time you need. And she was like, no, that's fine. That's all I need, right? The kids are going to be back at school. My husband is going to be back at work. I can get back to work. And I'm thinking, I would need 4 days if I moved across town. Heck, I would want 4 weeks if I moved across country. And so I think just that what's normal to them is just amazing to other people.
I agree. Totally underappreciated. The military spouses, what they go through. I think I married a saint, because she has put up with so much. It's crazy.
I don't know, Brian. I don't know how you got that hot blonde.
I don't either. I'm still trying to figure it out. I don't know.
But it like you said, it must be the dress uniform for the Marines.
Oh yeah, dress blues. Yeah, you can put any ugly bastard in the dress blues, and they come a calling, so to speak. Of
How about you, James?
course, I couldn't fit in those dress blues anymore. So
Yeah, I tried to put my beret on it. My beret doesn't fit anymore.
it's all that
Throw it in
knowledge.
some hot water. You can stretch that beret, buddy.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, your brain will move.
Yeah.
I remember with the razor, going with the razor, shaving that thing down. Man, that was crazy. And then you get the guys that try to pull it all the way down over their eye, and we used to rag on those guys, but I think it was all fun, good times. How about you, James?
The question, I kind of lost the question because we kind of went a little bit.
So how are you still serving today through business, family, mentorship, or community?
I tie into a lot of what you guys are saying with my family and my business and trying to train and keep things moving in that positive direction. One of the things I do like to talk about is, dealing with PTSD. I had PTSD. I can't say that I'm through it. I don't think anybody's ever over PTSD, but I like to talk about it and kind of, talk about what happened with me and hope that it helps other veterans. And even if they weren't veterans and someone's still dealing with PTSD, it works the same, right? I mean, so, I've got some brothers that's still going through it, and if somebody's ready to listen, I'm always here to talk about it. So that's how I like to continue it.
And your wife, what is she, a director at the VA?
She runs the Branson VA clinic,
and so she gets to experience a lot of veterans and hear their stories and stuff. Yeah, that's got to be tough.
It's she had military around her. I think most families have military somewhere, as a family member, or get to experience part of it, right? But she really didn't understand what being a veteran was until she started working for the VA. And then, she did the, breakdown to me. I'm so sorry. I didn't realize what you had to go through. And so it was very enlightening. Even somebody that had been around it to actually be with the veterans and be able to help them on a daily basis. So
I would imagine that was full on shock and awe for her. I mean, just the initial couple of months was probably just extreme eye opening.
Yeah, a very fulfilling job. Right.
I have to give her a shout out because that's my VA and I absolutely love it there. They keep wanting me to move to Springfield, which is literally just a mile or two from my home, and I refuse to move to Springfield. I just love Branson. They're awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, they do. They take great care. How about you, James Van Proyen?
I think for me, you mentioned the military creator event that we're putting on. I think through that, definitely wanting to serve past generations. It's like, the people coming behind us, the different people that are in right now, and try to pass on through our stage and through our influence, the different areas of content creation and business and artistic expression and things like that, and branding. So I think through that, definitely we have got a pretty cool kind of mission and 5-year vision and things like that. So I think it's about laying the foundation for future generations and something that can kind of outlast this certain period of time that I'm able to be involved. And then I think kind of how I met both of you, both you, Jamie, and you, Tom, is through the podcast community. And I've kind of, been trained from a young age to be a servant leader. So
we lost him.
We lost the comms guy.
Well, we have Laura Hires that said, "Thank all of you for your service." And yeah, we lost the comms.
Sorry, did Is that my outside voice again? I apologize. Forgive me, Lord.
Oh, that was great.
That's typical Army, though, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I love it.
Well, and yeah, that's funny. Well, we're getting really close. Tom, I see we have 1 minute left. Would you like to share anything before you ran? Oh, you're on mute.
Thank you for inviting me, for having me here. Thank you guys for serving also. And I'd say especially the guys that served when it was a hot war, right? It was different for me. We stared down with the evil empire, and it wasn't a hot war and everything like that. So what you guys went through, I'm forever thankful for that. So thank you to everybody, and hey, thank a veteran, thank their family, and yeah, that's it.
Well, thank you so much, Tom. Thank you for your service, and thank you for hopping on, and appreciate you, man. It was good to see you again.
All the best.
Tom,
Bye-bye.
nice to meet you. Thanks for joining us.
Nice meeting you, Tom.
Thanks for meeting you, Tom, and thank you for being with us, bud.
Yep, thanks. And James, you're back.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. She got a phone call on the phone, and then I hung it up, but somehow I must have. Then all of a sudden, I don't know how much you guys heard, but the gist of what I was saying
we were like, hey, and there goes the comms guy.
Well, that's why that's why I always joke. You're always gonna have a job in communications because nothing ever works how it's supposed to work, right?
That's exactly right.
Oh yeah, and I don't know how much you heard, but overall, I was just staying through I lead now to me through the event stuff that I'm doing, and then even in the past, I kind of came up by helping out someone else do the podcast conference, and kind of learning from that person, and treating those my own, kind of leading that way. I always try to make things better than what I found it. That's how I was brought up even before the military, but just continue throughout the military.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Well, does anybody have anything that they want to add? Like I know, Jerry, I'm super proud of you, man, for doing what you do, and you received the Purple Heart. Can't even imagine what that went through. And I don't know if you want to share that story or not, but you're welcome to, because it's just one of those things, man. It's really tough to deal with stuff like that. And if you look at veterans today, they carry a lot of that stuff that James mentioned, Jerry, I think you mentioned earlier, and Brian, they carry a lot of that stuff. But it's nice to be able to share those stories. And I think if you're given a platform or an opportunity, it's a good idea to share some of those stories. So maybe we can kind of do one thing where, what was one of the biggest challenges you had to overcome? And definitely, Jerry, that was a big challenge for you to overcome, but maybe you can share that if you want to.
It's a tough story. What turned out to be one of my closest friends in the military ended up one of my worst enemies because I harbored some anger toward him for a long time. After taking a shot, we were in a hide, and he sunshined himself for no reason. Well, I say no reason. I found out later that he'd been deployed like 11 times. And he was a Ranger, so he did 6 months out, 6 months home. But he had just mentally had enough. And when he shadowed himself up on the mountain, he was shot. That forced me to make a decision. Well, if you're in the military, there's no decision to make. You don't leave anybody behind. That's our code, right? We're not. So I was able to recover him, and I made it to a clot wall. I had his gear, my gear. We're just fighting to get out of there. We're being brought down pretty quick. I was able to get him over the wall. I threw it over his gear, my gear, everything over the wall, and I was trying to climb over the wall. My right side was exposed. My left side was over the wall. And as I looked to my right, I seen a gentleman with an RPG. And my M4, I couldn't get it up fast enough. My Barrett was hung on the wall. And I just looked up to God and said, hey, tell my family I love them. I don't really recall the explosion itself. I recall the emotion after I seen my wife the first time in Germany. And then all the surgeries and the years of healing. I have a cadaver right leg from the knee down. Pretty much everything that goes is someone else's. I've learned to deal with that pain. It's the inner pain that I struggle with. My wife's dealt with it for years, but it turns you hard. It turns you into somebody that you don't want to be. And James, the work you're doing is great. I hope it works for some people. I've tried talking to others about it, and it's not something that I enjoy talking about. It's easier to talk amongst family and other military because they understand. They know what it's like to take that fear that you can't control and that you can't do anything with, and try to bottle it because you have another fight, coming to you, and you can't give up or you don't go home. So dealing with that has probably been one of my largest challenges, and I think it's why I love the industry I'm in transportation and trucking. Is I can get in that truck, and if something bothers me, I shut it off. Right? You can't shut off life. You can't hide from life. So working anywhere else has been difficult for me. I demand a lot. I've been a leader all my life. I don't know anything else, and if somebody else doesn't perform the way I think they ought to, I tend to say what I feel instead of what's proper. So, yeah, and it gets me in a lot of trouble. And so having guys like you guys to talk to, and family and friends who understand, it's life-changing. It is.
Man.
It is.
So,
Jerry, thank you for sharing with us. Appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate you sharing.
Yeah, appreciate you, man. Love you. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to share, like anything that happened during your service that was maybe challenging for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to follow that. Yeah, I was lucky enough to serve in the dark days of the Clinton administration, so there wasn't a whole lot going on. I was lucky enough to, not be in any kind of too shitty of a situation where I had to worry about something like that going on. So I consider myself lucky in that regards. And Jerry and James, I thank you guys for getting in the suck and doing your thing. Because
of course,
yeah,
I do it all over again. As weird as that sounds.
Well, it's made you who you are. I mean, that's why.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, as tough as it is, if they called today, I'd leave.
Yeah.
It's
I would
embedded in who we are. I
would have to just kind of follow up with what you're saying, Jerry. As far as my PTSD and the stuff that happened, we all have different things, right? Different things that will set one person off or set someone back than the other. I was having a lot of night terrors. I'm talking about eyes open up, come out of the bed thinking, Hodge is on top of me and I'm fighting for my life until I'd hit the floor or, can make contact with that door frame or whatever it was that he was standing next to would bring me out of it. Right. I had people that knew not to wake me up. Like if he's asleep, you better do it from his toes and be ready to run type situation. And I didn't understand why for a long period of time. I mean, a lot of things had happened, some more severe than others. And then, I don't know, I was watching TV one day, some program, and it hit me of what was the actual cause. And I cried like a baby for about an hour and a half. And then after that, I talked about it to, it could be some lady at the supermarket. I didn't care. Like, I'd be like, hey, you want to hear a story? I got something for you, you know, and just talk through it as many times as I could to whoever I could. And I didn't care if they judged me, because they weren't there. They didn't have to deal with it. And if they were judging me, then screw them. I'm better anyways. Like, who cares? Just didn't really give a crap whether it bothered them. Maybe that's the wrong approach, but I didn't care. I needed to talk about it. And the more I talked about it, the less night terrors I had, the less, you know, jumping out of the bed, attacking the floor or a door frame or whatever it was. And it's tough now that, you know, I don't have the issues as much as I used to still see some of my brothers that I deployed with that have that same issue, or, you know, became alcoholics and lost everything in their lives time after time, and be good and then lose it again because of the same issues. And I understand not everybody wants to talk about it, but that helps. And it helped a lot. You don't want to talk about those things. But you know, it's, I think you'll find that a lot of people are there for you that you wouldn't think would be there for you, and might sit there and take a minute to reply to you. They're going to sit there with an open jaw and not know how to reply. And that's fine. I wasn't telling them so that way I get a reply. I was telling them so that way I could get it off my chest, you know, lighten that weight off of my shoulders. So, you know, Jerry, thank you for sharing, because it, like I said, the more I shared, the better it got. And hopefully that works for you in the future as well.
Yeah.
I thank you. I thank you for that, because I don't share it a lot. It was one of the most miserable days of my life, but at the same time, I understand to talk about it heals. And it's been 12 years. I mean, it's been a long time, and I still, there's a lot of emotion, and that fear always comes back. It's not something that goes away. You get to talking about it, you feel that emotion, and that fear is one of the first things that pops up, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
And anybody who has been where we've been and done the things we've done, fear is not an option. You know, you got to put that in the back of your head. And I think that's what upsets me the most, is that I can't control that fear. For some reason, I can't put it aside anymore.
Right.
Amen, brother. Amen. How about you, James Van Proyen?
You know, I think it's interesting or good to hear, you know, the different things y'all are sharing. And I think, you know, I've realized stuff kind of lately that I'm definitely still processing. And I think it's interesting, you know, that a lot of us, I think I would do it all over again, but just more, which is,
Yeah.
this is sort of the crazy thing about it.
I hear you, man.
Well, I sure didn't mean to bring a somber emotion to the group, because we were having a great time.
Oh, we are having a great time.
No,
Yes.
I'm gonna shift it a little bit, lighten up the mood.
Yeah.
You know, we were talking earlier about, you know, what we're doing moving forward in the workforce now, and you know what you've taken from previous. I will tell you, I still live the core, man, the creed, honor, courage, and commitment, and trying to, you know, like I said earlier, trying to hold people accountable. And, you know, on the civilian side, it's, you know, that necessarily doesn't translate the exact same, but it does translate to, do your best, do what's right, and treat others the way you want to be treated. That's basically what the honor, courage, and commitment is.
Yeah.
Getting people to buy into that, whether it's people that work for you or with you, or even leadership groups, that may be above you in the workforces, and trying to get them to understand that and to live it and own it. That's something I continue to try and do, and hold myself accountable as well, obviously.
And I love that, man. I think it's great. I think, one thing you have to look at too is it takes all the different MOSs or the job responsibilities to work together to, keep America safe and, keep our freedoms and stuff like that. And I think that's kind of the big picture you got to look at. And I do have kind of a funny story. Some of you may not know this, but on that note, Brian, to kind of lighten things up, when I was going through jump school, I'll never forget this. I was roster number 127, and I was also roster number 127 in basic. I'll never forget it. We were going out for our very first jump, and when you board a plane, I think it was a C-130, we were gone, and you board the plane in lines. They call them chocks. And there's an outboard and an inboard chalk, right? And we're going into these, and they said roster 127 over there, and I was like, oh, thank God. So that put me dead last, and I was like, phew, I'm gonna jump out of this thing last, and that'll be good. And we went through the whole thing, and it took me a while, even while we were in the air. I didn't realize that last was first, and so we started going through all the commands, hook up and sound off for equipment check, and they go from the back and they check you all out, and you tap the person's, hindquarters in front of you. Okay. And it comes up to the first person in the front of the line, which happened to be me. And you're supposed to take one solid step forward, 45-degree angle. All okay, jump master. And then you step back, hands on reserve. That's what I thought I said, but apparently what came out was and the jump master was, what did you say, you? And he's like, you better sound off 127. I was like, oh, okay, jump master. He goes, you know what's going to happen when that light turns green, right? Yes, jump master. What's going to happen? I'm going to jump master. And then you jump out. Apparently now they count to 6,000, but back when I was in, it was 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. If your chute doesn't open, you pull your reserve. And boy, I jumped out, and I was like, no, 1,000. Then that chute opened up, and I was like, oh man, this is great. And then that ground started coming up, and I don't think people understand when you jump out of a perfectly lit airplane as a paratrooper, you're falling 22 feet a second. That is not an easy landing. Boy, I came into that ground just screaming, terrified I was going to just break every bone in my body. But the training kicked in. God bless the training, man, because I tell you, it just really kicks in. Feet and knees together. I'll never forget it.
So, Jaime, on your landings, on all your jumps, were they all hard? Because I know with some of my landings, there's times where I came down so soft, but they're right there and they want you to PLF, right? So you land and you're like, oh, and you fake it, right? Best fake it until you can make it. Otherwise, you're getting it. But I've had some hard ones, not well, I would say like what we know as a burn in, but I've landed in marshes where I was knee deep in mud and just pegged in, super soft. And then somewhere I feel like my body bounced 4 foot after I hit the ground, Have you had all those experiences that you want to share?
Yeah. Or coming in backwards. Those are the craziest ones, because you can't control which way the chute goes. You got to pick up, you got to slip depending on whichever way. And that's where you grab the risers and you pull them into your chest. And it's equivalent about, lift about 60% of your body weight, I would assume, but your adrenaline's rushing so much, it's kind of easy to do. But boy, I remember coming in backwards a couple times. I didn't like those, because you couldn't really tell which way to kind of go. And so that took some practice, and you just you learn it as you go. but yeah, I've had them all. I've had some soft landings, but that first landing, I was so excited that I landed that I didn't clip out. And so I was being dragged across the ground, and the jump master came over and goes, come on, man, you know better than that. So it was kind of funny, but yeah, I thought it was a pretty funny story, but yeah, you're right. I've seen it, kind of experienced it all there. And I didn't do, I think I did 29 jumps in a year and a half. So we jumped a lot, and it was, and my hazardous duty pay, $110 a month. Oh, it was good
I remember
time.
getting in trouble all the time because I wanted to mess around all the time. We do halos or lalos, and I was always wanting to just free fall. And boy, my commander, he'd get so mad at me. Yeah, I lost rank kind of like a yo-yo for a while. I'd go up and down, and he's like, "Don't you get tired of this?" I said, "No, don't you get tired of riding?"
Oh, that's awesome. Well, we're getting towards the end of this thing. Thank you guys so much for coming on. James, I wonder if you could talk really quick about Military Creator Con as we make our way out, and then we'll each say our goodbyes.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you again for putting us on and for inviting me, and also for all your help so far and what we're going to do together at Military Creator Con. So we started doing this in 2020 with a conference called Podfest. It was kind of new media podcasting related at first, and we've really expanded and grown it to really and capture all creatives and people that are, entrepreneurship as well, even just some very people that are doing cool creative things in the entrepreneur space as well. We really want this to be a place where kind of becomes the go-to place for creatives in and around the military space. We're going to be in Arlington, Texas in both 2026 and in 2027. So we're super excited on the traction we've gotten so far. And of course, all the help that you've given us, Jamie. We have some exciting things happening with speakers and with our keynote that well, Christopher Lochhead. So super excited about all the support we're getting and just bringing the creative people all together to hopefully push each other to do even more bigger, better creative things all together. So as a community.
Yeah, and if you want to learn more, just go to militarycreatorcon.com. You can learn all the information there. It's going to be in Arlington, Texas, April 16th, 17th, and 18th. And the event's actually happening on the 17th and 18th. And I just want to say thank you so much to you and your wife, Mara, for inviting me. I'll be doing a one-day category design intensive on the 16th. And I just appreciate the support that you guys gave me for that in Lochhead. So it'll be a lot of fun. So hopefully we see a lot of veterans.
I can't wait.
A lot of people supporting veterans. So we'll go ahead and wrap this thing up. Jerry, any parting words?
No, thank you very much for having me on. It's a pleasure meeting all of you guys. Thanks again, and to every veteran that's out there that led the way before us, thank you.
Appreciate it. James Fisher?
Jamie, just I want to thank you for doing this. I think I spoke on this a little bit last night. I really appreciate all the things you do. If you haven't known Jamie's story or read his book, I would say go out and do that, because you do a lot for a lot of other people besides yourself. And it's not that most people want to do it or don't want to do it. Like, I would love to do more, but I tell you what, you get wrapped up in your day to day, and it's very easy to not and kind of get wrapped up in things, and you find a time and a way to do that. So thank you for everything you're doing for all of us as veterans. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, James. Brian?
Yeah, I think I just echo what these gentlemen are saying as well. Jamie, you're an incredible human being. Don't let anybody tell you anything different, despite of what may be said in the throes of drinking. But I want to a quick shout out to not just those that paved the way and are coming behind us, but for those that we've lost along the way, let's keep them in our hearts. And if you know who they are in your mind, just whisper their name in your prayers. And yeah, gentlemen, it was a pleasure doing this with you, and good to meet everybody.
Likewise.
Thanks so much, Brian. And James McBroyan.
Oh yeah, no, thank you again, Jamie. I echo what everybody said, and it's cool to do this kind of thing and talk about our experiences on Veterans Day. So thank you for allowing us giving us the platform to do that.
Absolutely. Thank you guys. Happy Veterans Day to everybody. And thank you guys so much for taking an hour out of your day to share with us. We really, really appreciate it. And
Hurrah, Semper Fidelis.
yeah. Airborne all the way.
Yeah, orange crayons. Got a box for you, buddy.
Hey, the green ones. How many times I got to tell you? I like the green ones. Don't be a hater.
Well, you guys are awesome, man. Thank you for your service. Thank you for all that you do. And thanks for sharing your stories.
Thank you, Jamie.
Maybe we can do this.
Thanks, Jamie.
All right, guys. Have a great one.
Have a great day.